and he knows it looks bad, but there's nothing he can do. I wonder what it's like to be right there in his shoes, but yo, just taking it in out the window of a hotel bedroom again.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the AMD Premier League second season. Welcome back to our second best of 3 of the evening, and welcome back to game 2 of this best out of 3 set. It's Netolic Singapore up against Rising Stars for round 1 of the playoff portion of this event, and Rising Stars currently find themselves at 1-0 in this best out of 3, looking like a well-oiled machine in game 1, I had to say. The stacks, the pulls, the push, the last hitting, everything seemed timed and orchestrated to perfection. But that was game 1, and this is game 2, and Netolic with an opportunity to try and bring it back, tie it up 1-1, and take us to a third and final game. I'm Basekip. I'm here in association with Dota Talk to provide some coverage of this event. I hope you guys are enjoying your evenings or whatever time it is for you guys in your part of the world, because we should have some good Dota ahead of us. Again, it's still early days as far as this competition is concerned. Still plenty more action coming up in the following days, and we'll look at all of that once we get to the end of this best out of 3. So, Netolic, they are going to choose to ban the Alchemist. Okay, here's the thing. A lot of people would say that the Alchemist is being banned because of what happened last game. Well, while that is a reason, Alchemist is also worthy of a ban for other reasons. Rising Stars could still pick him up, and Alchemist can still deal well with aggressive tri-lane pressure. So, Alchemist, if you let him do what he did last game, he'll do it, and he'll win the game by himself, pretty much single-handedly. However, even if you pick up the Alchemist and the enemy team forms a very strong aggressive tri-lane to put pressure on the Alch, he just transitions builds to Acid Spray and Stun, and still trades evenly in the tri-lane, builds treads, builds a Shadow Blade, and then he's happy as Larry. Even if you think your tri-lane is going to lose terribly because the enemy team's execution and tri-lane is much stronger, then you can just put the Alchemist that you picked on mid to deal with whatever the enemy team's mid in. And similar to the Dragonite, to the Magnus, to all of those other bottle-crowing mids, Alchemist does just fine as a solo mid, and picking up, maybe Phase Mech, or Phase Shadowblade Mech, or, Blink with Phase with a Blink Dagger and a Medallion as well. So Alchemist, a very versatile hero, and I think very worthy of that ban. Just even not talking about what happened in the last game with the 992 GPM Alchemist, so almost breaking the 1K barrier. But anyway, so that's my thoughts on the Alch. Meanwhile, we're gonna have a ban on Dragonite and OD from each team. And Netolic, they're going to pick up a Visage here, and Rising Stars, kind of interestingly, going to opt to grab the Wisp. So here's the thing, right? Visage immediately shows... It doesn't show Netolic's hands necessarily, but Visage is not a hero that scales amazingly well into the late game. You want to make use of all of his early game damage as much as you can. Yes, the birds will scale as they get more levels, and picking up an Aghanim Scepter is fantastic. But as far as the Soul Assumption and the Grave Chill and whatnot are concerned, none of them are really scaling abilities. The Soul Assumption nuke is as good as it gets once you reach level 7, and from there, flat damage just won't compare to escalating health pools. I mean, it's a 4-second cooldown, it's spammable, it scales with his mana pool a little bit because that is the primary restriction. But for the most part, Visage is not the same as having, say, a Lion or a Rasta or something in the ultra late game, where locking down a carry is a really big deal, because your carries can kill somebody in 2 seconds if they're a captive audience. But so I digress. But the Visage, looking to be aggressive. Rising Stars, the Wisp, typically a more defensive hero. But the thing that they could look to do is they've picked up the Lifestealer, and Lifestealer as a carry, they can just ditch him top lane. Wisp can go chill out in the jungle. He can farm up the small camp using the spirits, get his levels, and that is the one problem with running an aggressive tri-lane. Not if the enemy team so much dodges your tri-lane, but if the enemy team doesn't dodge it by going to the opposite lane, where you can just rotate down to find them again later, but if they have some way to just leave their carry as a 3v1 in the lane, and then just roam the supports in gank and whatnot, that's the big problem, especially with these Visage-based tri-lanes, because against a Lifestealer, the Visage tri-lane shouldn't really be able to get too many kills. So, Netolic, they're going to pick up a Darkseer, great response to the Lifestealer, can always surge people around, gives them a pretty reliable early mech if they want to start getting that early push going on with the Visage and the Darkseer against the Wisp especially. They are kind of being pressured into an earlier, more 5-man-y lineup soon. So sooner rather than later. So nice pickup for Netolic. Darkseer, he's super reliable as far as his farm is concerned, you know, getting up core items, getting the levels. It's very difficult to keep him locked out of the game. So if Rising Stars can do so successfully, then that'll completely throw a wrench into Netolic's game plan. But for now, things are looking pretty good for Netolic. I think they just need to get rid of the evasive and the late game options for Rising Stars. So Rising Stars right now looking for a secondary support, Keeper of the Light and Shadow Demon, the bands of choice for the Netolic side. And Rising Stars, what can you grab? We'll have to see. Okay, so what's still left in the pool? Both teams perhaps looking for... I mean, both teams definitely looking for a mid, looking for a secondary support. Rising Star is going to be picking up the Nature's Prophet, so a little bit of split push power for themselves. And Nature's Prophet, just by virtue of being Nature's Prophet, is a hero that can drag the game on and on and on and on, and that is something that Rising Stars might be looking for here, especially if Lifestealer has a tough time early on, if Wisp gets off to a bad start because of the tri-lane pressure. And with the strong tri-laner, I mean, a lot of strong tri-lane heroes have been banned out here by Netolic, honestly. So, Rising Stars, the tri-lane again might be a little bit shaky, but the big option for them is just to ditch the Lifestealer there. Nature's Prophet, not the strongest 1v1 solo, so I feel like Netolic would be well poised to pick up someone like a Weaver, who can actually have a very early game build and win the 1v1 against either the Lifestealer or the Nature's Prophet. Having somebody like the Weaver would mean that they could rotate the supports away from the lane themselves and still feel confident that the Lifestealer is being pressured. And if you have that option to beat the Lifestealer using only one hero, then there's no real reason to use three, especially if you aren't killing him. So, yeah. I feel like Weaver is probably very well positioned for Netolic right now. As far as Rising Stars are concerned, depending on what Netolic pick up as their mid, we might see some Storm Spirit from them as the combo with the Lifestealer. There's also a Puck and there is also a Queen of Pain as well, so if they want a mobility hero for the Lifestealer, then they don't need to look, I mean, they don't need to look too much further, because they've already got a Wisp and they've already got a Nature's Prophet, so they can get Infest relocate ganks, they can get just straight relocate ganks, but no, Rising Stars are going to be picking up the Storm Spirit here, so... That's 2 for 2 for base cap. I mean, I don't want to be too self-congratulatory, but it doesn't often happen that I get the draft. So that I get the draft spot on. I normally just throw out a bunch of options, and you know, it's sort of obvious where the direction that the draft is moving in, and you can sort of say, well, this is the archetype of hero that they're looking for. But base cap 2 for 2. They don't leave. Interestingly, Rising Stars don't leave the Storm Spirit pickup until the mid has already been taken for Netolic, so there's still a bunch of strong options like the Queen of Pain that can punish the Storm pretty heavily, so yeah, we'll have to see. One thing that Rising Stars do have in spades right now is mobility. They've got 3 ways to get the Lifestealer into a fight, and if they want to, they could infest the Lifestealer inside the Wisp. The Wisp can relocate their secondary support. Nature's Prophet TP's in, and Storm zips from long distance, and that's a snap and everybody is there kind of lineup. So Netolic, if they have to 5-man, and I think they have to 5-man fast. So we'll have to see. Rising Stars, what's the right band for them? I feel like it's probably Puck or Queen of Pain. Netolic, however, they don't really have that much push. They've got a good sort of early game fight. They've got a very blue lineup. But even once they win a fight, they can't necessarily do too much, especially against the likes of the Nature's Prophet. So Queen of Pain is going to end up being the ban here. But... you know what I would love to see from Rising Stars? It's not going to happen, I would think. But I would love to see something like a support Zeus or support Ancient Apparition, just for that little bit of extra global presence. But they don't have to do it, because they can just get global presence by relocating that support and having the Lifestealer inside the Nature's Prophet or the Storm Spirit. So whatever they take last, it doesn't really matter. The lineup will still be 5 instant global. So Netolic, what's the last ban going to be for them? It's a very difficult call to make right now. Rising Stars probably looking for a secondary support, but again, they showed that they would run Beastmaster, I mean, really as their secondary support in the previous game. Well, I guess he was still the offlaner, but they're going to end up banning out the Silencer here, so global presence would have done well against the Netolic lineup. I think a solid ban all around from them. But Rising Stars, what is the last pickup going to be? It's going to be an Enchantress. Okay, so it looks like we might be seeing some duo jungling Enchantress Wisp. Lifesteal and Nature's Prophet and Storm Spirit as the solos. Nettalik, a big onus on them to gank the Daylights out of the Storm Spirit and the Nature's Prophet. Rising Stars could even look to set up an aggressive jungle with the Nature's Prophet on the off lane. And then Enchantress and Wisp sort of hovering in and out and just trying to bring down that tower early, because Nettalik are probably going to go for an aggressive tri-lane here. It's not clear whether this last pickup is going to be a mid or not, or whether it might be perhaps the Darkseer heading towards mid. It is going to be a mid. They're going to pick up the Templar Assassin, so looking to punish the Storm Spirit. And Rising Stars, honestly, not a whole lot of ways to bring down a Refraction right now. So I think a good pick on the whole here for Nettalik. But anyway, guys, jumping ourselves into the game. Welcome back to the AMD Premier League. This is Game 2 of Best of 3 set for Round 1. It's Rising Stars up against Nettalik Singapore. And I'm basically happy to be here bringing you guys this game. So over on the side of Nettalik, we're going to have Mr. Keo on the Nyx Assassin. It's going to be Chibix33 on the Templar Assassin. So last game we had double Assassins for the Nettalik side. And this time around we continue with double Assassins. But observations aside, we're going to have Elsmurf on the Visage. It's going to be Ninja Boogie on the Weaver and Wraith Plu on the Darkseer. Meanwhile, on the side of Rising Stars, we've got Zatuji on the Lifestealer. It's going to be Super on the Wisp. We've got XDD on the Enchantress. We've got Air on the Storm Spirit, and that's going to leave XTT to play the Nature's Prophet right now. So Nettalik already making aggressive moves, and it looks like Rising Stars just trying to get themselves established. We'll see if they go for the offensive or the defensive jungle here. So Tuji going to take a little bit of harassment. Again, the Weaver is really going to be the bane of his existence here. So
30 seconds
yeah, we'll have to see.
battle.
We'll have to see how Rising Stars end up running this. Super might be trying to help out the Lifestealer, but again, his presence in the lane doesn't really change too much. Ninja Boogie is lurking just around the trees. It looks like nothing will end up coming of it here, so he's going to be absolutely fine just to skitter away. So it looks like it's going to be the Darkseer versus Nature's Prophet up on top. Mid lane matchup would be, as you expect, the Storm Spirit up against the Templar Assassin.
Begins.
And Air just pulled up from XDD. The one big advantage of having these jungle heroes is that they're very item independent, so you can pull pretty much all of your regen onto another hero, and it's a big help for the mid laners to be able to pick up a Null Talisman, especially with right now how Storm Spirit is kind of not favored to win the matchup. So we got one last hit each before creep spawn, so I feel like I'm not actually sure what happened. The Dire last hit kind of makes sense, but the Radiant not so much. I guess it's probably just a ward last hit. I think it does actually count. Yeah, looks like it must have been the word. Dire last hit would have been perhaps just a Treant if they had enough time to bring it down. But already Wisp just throwing out some shots on bottom lane. Just going to try and harass the Weaver down a little bit. So it is going to be the Wisp trying to set up shop down here, trying to keep things safe and secure. Going to throw in another sentry ward and going to attempt still. Going to have a poke around and see if he can get a D ward going off. It's actually just over on the magic push, so I think he will spot it here. No, not quite. Unfortunately, the D ward location here is actually just underneath this stump now. So yeah, the D-ward location to spot the magic push ward, needs to be slightly further forward, and that means that Super's camp is going to stay blocked at least for the next little bit. So a victory for Nettalik to start, but they've got very aggressive supports in the Nyx Assassin and the Visage. They need to jam some kills in as early as they possibly can. Meanwhile, on the middle lane, Air is doing an amazing job against Chibix. 2 for 2 up against 8 for 4. Air is just really using the fact that he has extra regen and this Null Talisman to its full effect. Meanwhile, Chibix just with the Bottle Rush. So this is the difference that just a little bit of gold at the start of the game can make. And we've already got Enchantress making aggressive moves down towards the bottom lane. Double Skeletons up and just pressuring Nettalik back. They're going to get the net out of the Ninja Boogie. I don't think they can actually kill him here. They're going to jump forward. Nice stun onto everybody. And XTD, a little bit caught out. Soul Assumption going to bring him down. Mr. Kyo now hit by the open wounds, and Rising Stars, little bit too aggressive. Yeah, a little bit too aggressive from them. Ninja Boogie getting hit by the tether stun. Nicely played there by Zatuji and Super. But first blood drawn by Nettalik, and I said that this bottom lane needs to get kills, and they are already off to a good start as far as that's concerned. Chibix is going to go pick himself up a rune. But Air, wow, look at the creep score right now. 14 for 6. I mean, we're only 2.5 minutes into the game, so he hasn't missed too many of his own last hits. Although, as I say that, I will jinx him. But he hasn't even used that much of his regen either, just feeling confident to man up against the TA and gets his bottle delivered, picks up the last stick, keeps on harassing. I mean, on bot they get the stun out onto Super. Is he in trouble? No. No Grave Chill from Elsmurf. And actually has enough for both right now, so a little bit surprising to see that they don't try and go deeper for that one. But he was already kind of around the corner, which can be kind of difficult to dive. But, yeah. I mean, not like the problem... Well, actually, there's not too much of a problem here, because the other lanes are actually doing fine. Darkseer is snagging farm against the Nature's Prophet. The only concern would be Chibix on mid, and Templar Assassin actually a very snowbally hero, so if she gets off to a bad start, that could spell trouble for Netolic, but so long as they do well in this bottom lane and Darkseer does what Darkseer does best on top lane, which is just be annoying and get farm, then they should be okay, though at the moment Rising Stars... I mean, even the Lifestealer is still getting CS under the tower right now, and the Satyr Tormentor is going to be tormenting the Netolic side as comes in for a little bit of cheap harassment here. And just wants one last nuke before leaving the lane. Ninja Boogie going to get palmed off a salve. Needs to be careful that that one doesn't get cancelled. I'm just going to be backing himself off here. Meanwhile, XTD micro falling to pieces a little bit as he keeps microing the Satyr. And I think he's going to end up blocking his own... Nope. Okay, so just barely able to get out of the camp there. 4-minute Urn is spawned up. Elsmurf going to be making his way down to pick that one up. And Hellbear poking its head around the corner. Satuji going to go very aggressively onto Kyo here. Can they bring him down? I don't think so, and the rage is just about to wear off. Now the stun turns around in the opposite direction. Satuji too aggressive again. Going to be caught out. Now they get the slow on the Super. Does he have anything to tether to? The creep wave is just moving in, but it's actually on cooldown. XDD. This could be trouble for him as well. He's got the double Ursa. Needs to get the clap down. But no, XDD deciding that, whoa, tether stun in. They get the right click out from the Ursa. And that's going to be it for Mr. Kyo back in the trees. So, Super, that was pretty aggressive from him, but it ends up working out. I mean, XDD, realizing that he might have overextended again, pops off the spirits there. But everything kind of ends up... Everything turned out okay at the end of the day. Air, meanwhile, 27 for 10 on middle lane compared to the Templar Assassins, 16 for 4. So, pooling is definitely paying off for Air on this mid lane. Along with, I think he's playing the lane really well. I mean, I'm not gonna pin it all down on the fact that he had extra regen, but having the extra regen means that he can just be super aggressive with the early damage from the Null Talisman and harass the TA back when she feels that, okay, I've only got a set of tangos to play with here. I can't afford to trade hits, and that means that Stormspeed has a lot of space. But kudos to Air for exploiting all that space that he did free up. XCT on top lane, farming pretty well. Darkseer, again, a lot of weight on his shoulders, but will get harassed back now. So, long trip back to base. No Bottle Crow being run. That's actually rushing towards mid right now, and that's going to really hurt Rave's overall farm. That's going to hurt his mech timing by probably a minute, 2 minutes. And I mean, again, the way that Rising Stars played the last game, a minute or 2 minutes in terms of deviation from Netolic's ideal plan. Could be very, very dangerous. Meanwhile, XTT just farming up on top, and it seems like whenever I look towards a player, they immediately miss a last hit. So I should probably stop bouncing the camera around too much. We've got a bit of a race going on for the rune. It's a regen. The prize. Who will it belong to? Chibix slowed down. The roll over the top. I think he's just gonna die here. Clap as well. And Rising Stars supports coming out of nowhere, picking up the kill. And Templar Assassin, if you thought she was having a hard time already, it's only getting worse. And Air, now already level 7, has the regen up, almost has treads finished. And Darkseer just ducking into the jungle. Looks like some of his farm might actually just be jungle camps, and he's not as far ahead as he looks on the scoreboard. He's still doing okay. He's keeping the pace with the Prophet, but again, that trip back to base as well is going to cost him as far as that mech timing is concerned. And this is the big problem with the Visage. Not specifically this tri-lane, but with a lot of tri-lanes where the enemy team is just like, we're going to pick a jungler, we're going to leave Lifestealer in the lane. Good luck killing Lifestealer. He's got magic immunity from level 1. Or level 2 if he wants it. So this is the downside of running an aggressive tri-lane when it's... And this is the downside of picking the Visage early on, because the hero's best role is in an aggressive tri-lane. So, yeah, that kind of ends up being tough. But yeah, this is exactly what Rising Stars were playing into when they picked up the life. So there's gonna be a roll on mid. Chibix in some trouble, almost combo to death, and down he goes. Mr. Kier gonna run in. He's got a 3-man stun, but he might also be in trouble. He's got the Carapace ready. They're rolling into it, but the Spirit's still doing good damage. Couple more right clicks and one more impetus. Gonna clean that one up. Air trying to escape, low on life, but Super has his back, tethering up, and looks like that's gonna end up being it. So Rising Stars leading by 2 kills, 1k, 1k in terms of gold, and 3.5k experience. The jungle efficiency from the Enchantress has actually been really good, and all of these later ganks have also earned them quite a bit of experience. Meanwhile, Rave keeps getting harassed on top lane. XTT getting pretty close to his Midas recipe if he wants it. I mean, could just as well be an early mech, but given the pace that he's setting, I feel like he's probably just going to end up going for the Midas, and I think history is also on my side, making that prediction there. But Lifestealer, as you can see, despite being against an aggressive tri lane, just still gets passive farm and still gets some levels. I mean, he has died once and he's still got phase boots. And Lifestealer, he's not very greedy when it comes to items. He just wants phase boots, maybe a drum, and an armlet to top everything off. And then he's ready to go and gank with the Storm Spirit, do really whatever. Can Mr. Keo fake out the rage here? He's not going to fake it out, but he will connect it anyway. That2G, however, will be able to pop it off in time for the Soul Assumption, but not enough to keep him alive there. So nice little gank for Netolic. And there's a double damage up on the... I think there was just the dregs of a double damage up on the Visage. Yeah, so sort of help that right click not be survivable because of stick charges. Meanwhile, Treads being picked up by both Weaver and Enchantress. They get another kill on the Lifestealer. So the late game option, at least for Rising Stars, kind of slowed down a little bit there. They don't necessarily have the inevitability in this game as far as the farm war is concerned. So if this goes super farmy, super late, Templar Assassin, semi-carry, Darkseer, big impact, and Weaver as well can definitely have a role to play. Compare that to the Enchantress, who, while she's doing well right now, but if things go badly for XDD in the next 10-15 minutes, then Enchantress is definitely a hero that can fall behind, and Wisp as well can end up not having a huge impact. Really nice trap here. I think it ended up spotting the smoke, but Rising Stars will be able to drive Netolic back to their base. Nice coordination here with the Prophet Ultimate as well. Mr. Keo still alive, but one more Spirit to bring him down. Chibix on their retreat. Air just keeps on charging forward. He's got the Wisp to back him up right now. And just looks like Familiar is going to end up being the focus here as XCD picks up some extra farm. Chibix, you have melded, but just gets slowed. Center ward drop down. It is in tower true sight range, I believe, but Rising Stars kill into a push. Keep it going. Leading by 3. Rave, meanwhile, farming up on top lane, almost has that mech finished, so timing actually ended up being very reasonable for him, but has to go and make use of it pretty soon. Air looking pretty farmed, and That2G now just joining the push. They might even give him this tower last hit here just to ensure a little bit of recovery farm for the Lifestealer. There we go. That2G gonna pick that one up. So, I mean, even Rising Stars. I don't know if that was necessarily like, okay, give Lifestealer the last hit because he needs to catch up. But if it is, they're micromanaging the little things, and that's a really big deal because it means that not only they're comfortable in their overall game plan, but they're also making sure that all the little things go exactly to plan, and those are the things that matter in the really, really tough, really high-level games. It's not so much, I mean, mistakes do definitely happen, and, you know, mistakes matter, but it's also the little mistakes or the little efficiency things that can sometimes get you. And I mean, XCT keeps vision on the camp with this tree. I mean, that's maybe a little bit too much, but you know, they're being very efficient with their time right now. They've already loaded up the Lifestealer bomb, making their way top. They keep pushing out the gold, they keep pushing out the experience, and Netolic, I mean, looks like it might be a 5-man too late for them. The infest damage is already out. Mr. Keo gets dragged back in. One more right click. A good focus fire. Now Mr. Keo going to be dropped down. Let's get a stun out at the end of the day. Rave TP's in, pops the mech, but it's just not enough. Now trying to escape, but the Prophet threatens the TP in. Rising Stars, everybody behind the tower, and I mean, Chibix, he's got a TP scroll, but he just wants some farm for himself. Finish up some treads or some phase boots, but Rising Stars not going to give him the opportunity. Bassi not on for XTT. Maybe somebody has one on. No, so XTT should really have his Bassi on for that push, but so I can still find things to nitpick at the end of the day, but I mean, Ninja Boogie, he's just farming. He wants a core item or two, but Rising Stars just keep the charge going. And just keep on encroaching on Netolic space, and losing this map control early on means that even when it goes back to farming positions, Rising Stars have more of the map and they're going to be accumulating more farm overall. So even when they stop pushing, to equalize, Netelik actually need to do some pushing of their own. And to feel confident to push, they want to farm up a couple of core items, but what they have to keep in mind is that Rising Stars are actively out-farming them right now. So when both teams back off, disengage, and split up into split up into individual pairs, go solo farm and split up into pairs, Rising Stars are probably the ones getting the better deal here, especially with like a Nature's Prophet. They've got a Hand of Midas as well, and Enchantress obviously pretty quick in the jungle at the same time. Storm Spirit no slacker either. I mean, not like they've got good jungle clearing ability, but the Visage and the Nyx Assassin thrive in the fights, in the ganks, in the skirmishes, in anywhere that people are taking damage and there are stuns to be thrown out. But Rising Stars, by backing off and by 5-man pushing, they are kind of denying that opportunity to Netelik right now. So Ninja Boogie just waiting down on bottom lane. Again, I have to compliment them on their item selections. They're just going cheap, they're going efficient, they are ready to fight Rising Stars, and it is part of the reason that they've been holding on so well. They need to be careful here. There is a troll just back here. Ninja Boogie tries to defend, going to throw out the swarm. In comes Netelik. This is their fight. They're going to vacuum everybody back. Rising Stars taking some damage. Mech popping up as well. Roll over the top. Air just to drag back onto Mr. Kyo. They're going to focus down the Enchantress. They bring down one. The Iron Shell doing its job. Can they bring down the Nature's Prophet as well? They do. They keep on going on to Kyo, but he's still alive. The Stick Chargers are going to keep him up. They bring down the Storm Spirit. They bring down the Wisp, and that is going to be it. 4-0 on this bottom lane. The mech popping off early for the Nature's Prophet. I mean, not early in the sense that it didn't heal anybody, but early in the overall context of the fight. And Netelik, this is what they needed exactly for a wipe straight into a tower, and straight back into it. And again, nobody is farming towards an item that's not really helping them at the moment. Weaver isn't just sitting on basic boots. He finishes his treads. He's got a Ring of Aquila, and because they had those core items up, they're now able to look to the future and start working towards Linked Sphere. I think there's a Blink Dagger almost finished with the Templar Assassin, and we saw what a tough time TA was having on that mid lane against the Storm Spirit. But Chibix, they bide their time just a little bit. They let Rising Stars have 1 or 2 more pushes, 1 or 2 more towers, and then they strike when they feel confident. And that's the big deal when the enemy team is pushing. You have to pick that one fight where you've maybe finished up, you've just finished up a core item, say the mech for Netelik, and you've picked up a couple of important levels, and then you just go. And you catch Rising Stars by surprise because they don't think you're going to defend, because they feel that they're in the driving seat of the game. And until that fight happened, they were. But now it's going to be Mr. Kyo with the Familiars. Can they bring down XTD? They do. Air is loaded up with the Infest Bomb. They're going to pop the Carapace. I think it's going to be Nyx, the trade here. Familiars should hopefully be able to escape as well, but I think... No, okay, so that's going to be it. 1 for 1's the trade, but... I mean, until that fight happened, Rising Stars were in the driving seat, and then it plunges back towards even. So Netelik getting exactly what they needed there. And now Chibex has a Blink Dagger. Now we've got an Ultimate Orb up on the Weaver and 600, 700 gold on top. XTT gonna get spotted out here. Just gonna, actually relocate flying in as well. Ninja Boogie could be in some trouble. Do they have a Sentry Ward? They do, but they don't have it. They don't have any dust. So I think Ninja Boogie should be fine. However, the Netelik side might not be so lucky. He's gonna burst down Rave before he can pop the mech. That's a big deal. Stun flying out onto 3, but Wisp just escaping there. Can the Familiar lockdown be perfect? Doing a good job. Chibix now jumping in. Ninja Boogie rejoining the fight. Big roll over the top from Air, using the last of his mana, getting healed up by XTD. Now joining. He's still got the spirits if they need it. Zatuji going to turn around looking for damage. He gets popped by the meld, and now Ninja Boogie going to keep on Shikuchiing forward. XTD going to switch those treads over to strength, trying to stay alive. Air, he's not out of mana now. He's going to try and put some damage onto the Kyo, focusing on the squishiest target in this fight. He gets the drag back. Can he burst him down in time? The right click from Ninja Boogie doing its job. He gets the Nyx Assassin, rolls away. Air, still barely, but there's the trap slow, and I think that's going to be curtains for him. Chibix Ninja Boogie closing the gap. No, it's actually Super making his way in. He tethers over the top. He's taking some damage, so they get the ridge, and he jumps, but the blink goes into the tether stun. I thought that was it for the Storm Spirit, but Super, the move speed, and the little bit of extra healing gets the Storm Spirit back to safety. What a play from Rising Stars there, and just the team play so far has been phenomenal. Air almost has his Orchid finished. Netelik as well. I have nothing but complimentary things to say for them, but straggling a little bit behind right now. They're only trailing by 1 kill, and again, golden experience pretty much non-existent as far as that advantage is concerned. And now Rave going to be making his way down towards bot, looking towards XTT. Chivix jumps in, they get the meld, they're iron shelling up, they still got the vacuum to break the sprout. They just need to right-click him to death. They're going to pop the Prophet ultimate for a little bit more gold there, realizing that he couldn't escape. He did have the mech available, but even popping that, without a tier 1 tower up, there wasn't really any hope for him. So dying breath, just going to pop off the ult, and that's going to be it. Elsmurf has himself an early medallion, so between that and the mech, they can and the TA on top, they can honestly look to Roshan whenever they bring down this tier 1 tower on mid. Otherwise, it's a little bit dangerous because, as we talked about in the draft, Rising Stars have this 5-man global. Everybody is suddenly everywhere lineup. XDD, however, he's not where he needs to be, making moves into his own jungle where Netolic have set up shop. They're going to bring him down. And his troll friend to boot? No, looks like the troll friend will be able to escape. Zatuji hasting down. Who can he find? He's in the middle of everybody right now. Gonna get clipped by a grave chill, but looks like that's going to be it. Super walking his way down as well. Enchanter Screep still scouting out, but Chibix, no remorse, kills off the troll with a meld shot there. So, Air, how is the farm doing? Is that a completed Orchid flying out? Yes, it is. So he's ready to look for a pick off a Ninja Boogie on top. Who is close to his Lincoln Sphere, but not quite. So Air should be able to get this pick off, assuming that he shift Qs everything right. Loading up on mana, making sure that he's topped off, has everything ready to go. He rolls in, he gets a silence. In comes the relocate as well. Rising Stars, here's the burst damage. TP reaction is there from Netolic, but just not quite fast enough. And here's the open wounds onto Elsmurf. He's in some trouble. Rave hits the ground, gonna surge. They pop the mech as well. They turn around. Zatuji in some trouble, but the mech also popping off in the opposite direction. And the relocate as quickly as it came. They're gone. Can Netolic get any kind of punish? Looks like they can. So Netolic, I mean, they're still even as far as kills are concerned. They have great aggressive warding going on. This is a sort of unique ward, but this is a great spot to see any smokes that are popped off by Rising Stars. And it does establish some control for them once they start to look to push towards the middle lane. So Netolic, you can still see the gears turning, that they're thinking about where their game is headed. And the game right now is mainly headed towards Roshan. It's a big advantage that's easier for them to secure than it is for the Radiant to secure. And if they can just get this tier 1 tower down with the help of this ward, then they can head into Roshan, and then they've actually secured themselves a pretty substantial lead, at least as far as this game is concerned. I mean, we're keeping it pretty even right now, guys. 1k experience in favor of the Dire, 1k gold in favor of the Radiant. Though Air is still on the hunt, looking for pickoffs. We've got XTT with the Shadow Blade almost finished up. As far as item progression is concerned, Chibix already has himself a Yasha, so nice little bit of move speed for him. Rave, I like the choice. He's working his way towards a BKB, Ogre Club in hand right now, and they're going to jump on top of Air. Can they burst him down? They will. The tether in from Super, not going to be enough. Now they're going to surge forward. The Nyx Assassin to look for this kill. He's going to pop the Carapace. He wants to hit one of the spirits. He needs to hit one of the spirits, but no. Won't be able to. So Super will be able to escape. Had he been able to Carapace one of the spirits, he probably could have closed the gap and then got his second impale off. But just the little things overall. They've got the Shadow Blade finished up for the Nature's Prophet. Chibik's going to go aggressive onto Zatuji. Doesn't want him to get any farm. A reminder again that the Lifestealer was 3v1 pretty much on the bottom lane. And he still almost has an omelet finish. So that's just the nature of the hero. He's still got an Infest. Chibix needs to be careful about how much he commits to this one. Since XCD is making his way across as well. Netolic, meanwhile, 4 heroes pushing in on top lane. Lincoln Sphere almost finished for Ninja Boogie. Going back to the thought that I was on right before that fight broke out in the top lane. Rave, he's working his way towards a BKB. I love the choice because, I mean, while you can say, okay, maybe I'll buy a Blink Dagger and I'll use that to be in the fights, with the BKB he can run in with impunity and not be worried about the Orchids and the Storm Spirit. Chibix is in some trouble. He's going to linger a little bit too long in the bottom lane. He does manage to snag his Manta recipe before he dies, so not missing out on too much gold, but I think just chilling out there a little bit too long. Can they bring down XDT? Looks like they won't be able to. Nobody is carrying Dust just yet against the Shadow Blade, so again, a little thing that Nedelik really should be doing, especially after seeing the Claymore up in the Nature's Prophet. So they're going to look towards this tier 1 tower. No fortification available. Rising Stars bringing everybody up. It's a 5v4 fight if they can catch some heroes. They bring in the tower. Now the roll in. Mr. Kyo, he's sprouted up. Are they just going to leave him behind? They pop the mech. They keep on fighting the vacuum, the wall. Well, no wall just yet, but still the damage being thrown out. But it's 2 down. It's 3v5 right now. Air on the retreat. Ninja Boogie is doing good damage. Can he close the gap onto the Storm Spirit? He's still alive. The Overgrowth as well. He ran through the Tether Stun. Will be able to time-lapse his way back, but looks like Elsmurf might be in some trouble now. Does he have Familiar Stun's going to be surged back out. They keep on chasing. They're looking for pickoffs, but XTT going to be absolutely fine. Out 2G, dropping pretty low. Going to rage up and just toggling his way back to safety. Now Ninja Boogie gets dragged back in. Will he be bursted down? No, nice vacuum from Rave. There's the save. Now 2G now in trouble. The fight is so back and forth. Everybody on a sliver of HP. XTT rejoins. Just going to go for the Familiar with that Shadowblade backstab. But Nedelik, at the end of the day, it's a 1-for-1 trade, and I believe they get the tower. Last hit also picked up by Ninja Boogie. So Lincoln Sphere now up and ready for him.
Double damage.
And Nedelik, is this now going to be Rosh on the head straight in? DD on the Weaver. And yeah, this is going to be quick work, especially with the melt. So nice moves from them. 15 to 15. We're all tied up as far as kills are concerned. 1k gold. Pretty much nothing as far as experience is concerned. Nedelik, they are making a very big ward investment right now. To have more than 2 wards on the map at any given time means that later on they're going to have a blind spot. Rising Stars won't know this, but so when you only start with 2 wards and only get 1 pack every 6 minutes, to actually have 4 wards on the map means that at some point earlier on in the game, you either waited without vision for a while, or in the future you're going to be without vision for, you're going to be without vision for a little while. XCT, they've got the dust this time around. And do they have the burst damage? Or they might just going to pop off the mech, still alive. Storm Spirit makes his way in. The relocate has found its target. They're looking towards Mr. Kyo. Nice turnaround from Rising Stars. And the global presence from the RStars lineup really shining through there. But so Nedelik, they've made a big investment as far as these wards are concerned to have this much vision up on the map at one time. And it is helping them out a lot as far as the confidence is concerned. But again, there will be a point later on in the game where they're going to go blind for a bit, I believe, depending on how the ward stock is looking right now. So they still have a ward up. So I think they've actually banked this up from later on. No, Rave gonna get dragged back. Silence in some trouble. Focus down. Will he drop? He pops the mech. He's still alive, but the Orca damage might be enough. Along with that Urn Charge, they've got the trap. They're looking for the punish. But Air, he's got the roll. He's just gonna TP out. They're gonna leave the Wisp to rot there. Nice split up from Rising Stars and just realizing that, making the best of a bad situation. Ninja Boogie does have his, however, now have this Aegis, and Nedelik, as we saw, picked up that Roshan kill. So the game plan is still making its way together for them. Sorry, I'll switch it over to Mass Vision right now, guys. Sorry about that. I was talking about the word point a little bit too much, but so yeah, Air just working his way towards the BKB. They've got a gem up as well, so. Ready to try and deal with the Nyx Assassin and the Weaver, deciding that they've been they've been thorns in their side for a little bit too long. Ninja Boogie, meanwhile, is making great progress towards a first damage item for himself. Shouldn't be too long for him. Probably expect to see a Demon Edge up relatively soon. And meanwhile, Nedelik just pushing out the middle lane. I think feeling kind of secure in the fact that they have this Aegis. Again, this is where the game starts to get a lot more iffy for Nedelik, because the map control is the big problem right now. So Rising Stars, there's this question where you ask, where can I be within 5 seconds? And for Rising Stars, for a lot of their heroes, that's actually anywhere on the map. For the Nedelik side, however, the answer to that question is 5 seconds of walking from where they are, maybe a Blink Dagger from the Templar Assassin, but aside from that, it's only TP, so they're not the most mobile lineup, and Rising Stars can look to exploit that, but are they going to get picked off here? Super's going to be in some trouble. Air going to roll away, nice dodge on the stun there, but they get the Grave Chill. However, it is on the Storm, so he's not going to be too worried, and Super is getting dragged along for the ride, but there was a trap placed earlier by Chibix. I have no idea if he was planning this in advance, but he jumps in, doesn't get the meld, going to clean up Super with that one there. So, nicely played by Rising Stars, but even nice. I don't even know if that was foresight from Chibix, but nicely done from him. Ready to cut off the escape route there. And XTD just farming towards what is looking like maybe a BKB, could also be an Aghanim Scepter for him. His Centaur, however, will be cleaned up with no mercy from the TA. Meanwhile, XCT taking advantage of the enemy jungle. and just wrapping up that point. So as you can see, like the where can I be in 5 seconds game is actually favoring Rising Stars right now, but unfortunately when the Wisp is with the Storm Spirit, it's not quite the same deal. But Rising Stars, they're getting respawned soon. They're going to throw out the open wounds, but they jump on top of XCD. They burst him down. That's no heal. The vacuum now through wall thrown out as well. Mr. Kyo drops down 1-for-1. Relocate makes its way in. Air in trouble, rolling away. Stick charges pop. He's still alive. He's still bouncing. He's dragging the Netolik side further back towards their base. Out 2G. We still got the armlet. Chivix a little bit too up, a little bit too greedy up onto the high ground. Will be able to cut his way out there. Who has the tangos? It's actually Rave. Really nicely done from him. And they are going to be able to bring down the tower to 1-for-1 trade. And Z2G now healing up. Air again escapes within an inch of his life. But Netolik bring down the tower. Do they still have the Aegis up on the Weaver? I believe they do. He's now got his Demon Edge up. And Netolik, I mean, this is seeming like a... I mean, this isn't a whole nother level from what we saw in Game 1, but they have really stepped it up. I have to commend them on that one. Gold and experience, nothing in this game right now. The mobility for Rising Stars is slowly becoming scarier and scarier, but the Netolik heroes are also accumulating items. Chibix with that Manta style, which we saw earlier. BKB now up for Rave. We've got 1.3k gold up for Mr. Kyo, so if you want some Arcane Boots, he can have them soon. Elsmurf just working his way towards an Aghanim Scepter, so gonna make himself even more threatening there. And Weaver, as we saw, probably working his way towards an MKB at the moment. So Netolik make great use of this first Aegis. It doesn't end up being a fight, and they don't end up losing the Aegis and having the second life on the Weaver, but feeling confident, using it to back themselves up, pick up some towers, and we'll see if that advantage... Well, they haven't really accrued an advantage, but keeping it stable will be enough for them to use the dire advantage to be able to pick up Roshan. So we'll have to see. Meanwhile, Air also has his BKB finished, so we are heading into the BKB portion of our game right now, where everybody buys BKBs. It's sort of a staple of the competitive metagame at the moment. BKB is just a great item. No matter how much it keeps getting nerfed, Magic Community is still one of the strongest mechanics in the entire game. So, no surprises there. Relocate's making his way top. Chibix in trouble. He gets popped on. Oh, you poor soul. And that is the Infest Relocate gank that we were talking about earlier. So, Rising Stars do get the pick off and creep ever so slightly ahead. Meanwhile, Z2G needs to be careful about how aggressively he farms. There aren't any ways to cancel his Rage TP, but there is quite a bit of burst damage on the Netolik side. So let's see what they get going on here. Ninja Boogie making his way up and around as well. Z2G just making his way over to the creep camp. He doesn't have an infest. And as soon as this pops, he could be in trouble. They're gonna get... He's burning right now. The familiar's there as well. There's the first familiar stun. They get the rage. Can they burst him down? Not quite. I feel like Kyo maybe should have just... I guess it was a question of, do you trust the Visage to chain the familiar stuns perfectly and then follow up with the Impale, which is what they would have needed to do to kill him. So Visage kind of drops the micro ball a little bit there. And Rising Stars, they're just going to push down the tier 2 on bottom lane, swooping in, getting that one absolutely no problem. And again, reducing the space for Netolik to be able to farm around individually now. The Relocate is being very threatening at all times, and now there's a Hex up on the Nature's Prophet, and that question of where can I be in 5 seconds is slowly but surely becoming a smaller and smaller area for the Netolik side. Rave's still farming up. He hasn't been able to make use of this BKB just yet. We have quite a number of unused items so far. Super, how is his farm going? We haven't checked in on Rising Stars probably recently enough. We've got Basher picked up for the Lifestealer. He's just hiding inside the Nature's Prophet right now, who has a double damage and that Scythe Device freshly acquired. So a bunch of pickups all over the place. They're looking for Weaver, but Ninja Boogie not really obliging them just yet. Sprout threatened again. Ninja Boogie wondering what the heck is he hearing? He might be just on the edge of vision to hear some of these. So yeah, looks like Ninja Boogie is going to be okay. Roshan respawning in 2 minutes. Netolik getting there perhaps a little bit prematurely. Just lurking around the edge of the pit right now. The Rave is doing a good job of making sure that the top lane is pushed out. XTT is going to slam that one straight back into the tier 2 very quickly, and XTT is actually going to go for this one. Nice blink backwards from Chibix. Great reaction from the man there. I have no idea how he even managed that. I guess they spotted the TP. I think they spotted the TP with the hero on the high ground, because Chibix, that was like game face on until the very last second. He's got himself a Crystallis as well, so good damage stacking up, and definitely what they need against the Lifestealer. And Nakes, 1.3k gold in the bank, just sitting on a magic stick. Who needs a magic wand? And Chibix, illusion runes, so he might even be able to solo Roshan with these, just tanking them appropriately, and with the meld and refraction. They have, and Rising Stars very wisely have chosen to block out the Netolic Ancients while they make full use of theirs. So in such a close game, a small move like that can actually have pretty big consequences. The gold is going to bounce up to about 3k, and experience 2.5. The gold primarily due to this tier 2 tower falling on bottom lane. But still, the little things. I mean, Netolic, we've seen them walk over to the Ancients intending to farm them because they are farming the majority of the map that they have access to right now. But it's just not... I mean, just losing the Ancients is actually a pretty big deal. They're going to jump XTT. Oh, beautiful gank from Netolic. And that's 30 seconds of Roshan. They might force out a buyback here if he has it. He does. But if they don't buy back... Oh, Elsmurf, is he going to get bashed? He will. He tried to TP out. Will he be able to escape? He pops the stick charges, but it's not enough. But in jumps Chibix, looking towards Tuji. He pops the infest, but it's into a creep. Now the buyback from the Nature's Prophet. They relocate in as well. Mr. Kyo in some trouble. Drag back. BKB up for air. Now over towards Chibix. Keeps on rolling, looking towards the Templar Assassin. She's gonna get bashed down. Keeps on going. The wall drop down. Rave on the retreat. BKB up. Ninja Boogie trying to right click his way through this fight. The right click from the wall is gonna be enough to bring down the Lifestealer. Netolic, Ninja Boogie keeps on fighting, but he gets brought down as the Prophet ultimate bounces through right as he hits the button for the time lapse. Fractions of a second there. Now Rave juke into Roshan, and will be able to TP out the Rising Stars. They have themselves Roshan. Buyback from the Nature's Prophet. Well worth it there. And had Rising Stars not simultaneously got the pick off on the Visage, then things might have gone differently there. But making it a 4v4 and then knowing that they could turn it into a 4v5 immediately, really great call from them, and that's going to get them there. That's going to get them in Aegis and start to move the golden experience graphs out in a less favorable direction, at least as far as Netolic fans will be concerned. But yeah, net worth. I mean, we've got a bit of a rainbow. Well, not a rainbow. We've got a bit of a very weird zebra stripe pattern going on. Farm is still pretty even on the whole. But Netolic, the team fights from Rising Stars have just been going better. The focus fire has really been there, and Air just zipping around everywhere, dragging the tether stun in 360s nonstop, has turned the tether into an AoE stun on a 12-second cooldown. So Rising Stars playing this one fantastically. They did the same game 1, but Netolic definitely not out of this just yet. Again, the question of where can they be in 5 seconds and the global mobility are becoming problems for them slowly but surely. And they might have to start looking towards the what might be called like the snapback plan. So wait until Rising Stars go for a push, they overcommit, you punish them, you buy back maybe one hero, and then you push down middle lane and try and secure yourself a set of racks. That might be coming later. I think Netolic are still going to try and go for the even trades. Ganking plan right now, but no, Chibix is going to get caught again. They TP'd in with the Prophet Nake's bomb, and then the relocate comes as well. They spot anybody, they are dead. And Netolic, with hard, I mean, they don't have the option to 5-man because they're going to get split pushed by the Prophet. They don't really have the option to split farm because of the Wisp. So Air going to go head back top, picks up the tier 2. Netolic now running out of towers, and Mr. Kyo going to keep the ganks rolling, but what can they do? Shiva is now picked up for the Storm Spirit. And Rising Stars, Vision is just looking great for them. XTD is going to be in some trouble. He's going to be bursted down here. Getting stuck out a little bit, but Air rolls in, using most of his mana there, focusing on the Elsmurf. Can they bring him down? He's going to pop the Ghost Scepter. They vacuum back into the wall. Rising Stars taking good damage. Nice Spirit. Well, nice Familiar drops as well. Elsmurf still alive. Brought down by one last Spirit. He walks past Super. Air in trouble. Keeps on rolling the overcharge. This guy is impossible to bring down. Looks like he will finally fall, but he's still got the Aegis, and XCT has now made his way back into the fight. Ninja Boogie focusing onto the Nature's Prophet, but Storm Spirit not too far away. XCT just trying to buy time for that because Storm, ends up going after the Nyx Assassin. He's going to be making his way back over to the fight, rolling a long way in, but he's low on mana. One more Familiar Stun to keep him locked down. They bring down the Nature's Prophet, and it looks like Air is just going to snag an Invis Rune and be fine. One big thing, Netolic, I don't think they have a gem. Yeah, so the early gem for Rising Stars has really paid its dividends. So, I mean, I complimented Netolic earlier in the game about their great warding and keeping vision going of everything, and now they're going to pick up a gem. But if we look at the Radiant Vision, they had vision over the Ancients, they spotted Chibix there for a second, they jumped him. They've got vision topside, a ward that's very unlikely to be dewarded by sentries, would require a gem. This ward is a little bit more common, but not that frequently used, so unlikely to be dewarded by sentries. So they've got the vision to keep executing their strategy. Netolic are feeling a little bit blind right now. They've now got the gem, but it might be a little too late. And I mean, I didn't catch on to it earlier on, but that vision investment has really made that vision difference has really made a big deal as far as this game is concerned. Because Netolic, they went for quite some time, you know, split farming unpunished, and oh, they're looking for Ninja Boogie, but he time lapses back. Can they get the drag? They're gonna pop the Lincoln Sphere using the drag, and in comes the tether stun. Mr. Keo gonna try and make some space. Ninja Boogie turning around for the right click. The Wisp heads back. Now air stunned up. They get the Carapace. They get the right click. The Meld Strike is there. Mr. Keo will end up dropping to Zatuji, but now he's a little bit far from home. Gonna get slowed. Vacuumed back. Here comes the right click. Netolic get a great punish on some over-aggression from Rising Stars, trying to chase too greedily after the Weaver. And it will end up being a 2-for-1 trade. Big pickups for Netolic there, compared to only the Nyx Assassin for the RStars side. Meanwhile, Wisp now forced to buy up another gem, as Netolic will actually snag that one from the XDD's gem, which is being held by Storm Spirit there. So, big pickup, but Rising Stars showing that vision is super important. I'm just going to be picking up another gem right now. We've got a BKB picked up for Weaver, so not too concerned about the Storm Spirit anymore. I think it might be time for a BKB check. So it's a 7-second BKB left for the Storm Spirit. No BKB for the Prophet. It ended up being an Aghanim Scepter for the Enchantress. Still no BKB for Chibix. I think he's just farming up right now. Maybe he has something on the Courier. He's got the Demon Edge, so he's almost got his Daedalus finished. Elsmurf, meanwhile, just has that Ghost Scepter. And because we are BKB checking, we'll talk about 10-second BKB on the Weaver, and we've got a 10-second BKB freshly acquired for XDT. So the BKB portion of the game is not over just yet. As far as the graphs are concerned, those 2 kills are going to put a bit of a dent in it and making it, well, pushing it back in the dire direction. There's still 7.5k the overall farm lead for Rising Stars, and 4k the experience. Meanwhile, Rave going to start working his way towards a Hex. He's got a Ghost Scepter up as well. So he can very confidently stride into the middle of these team fights and get everything that he needs to drop off. Air, meanwhile, loaded up with a second gem, but needs to be careful. Needs to be very careful about that. And we've now got the Daedalus up for Chibix, so damage continuing to climb. Roshan is about 4 minutes away. Yeah, Roshan just about 4 minutes away right now. So both teams going to be heading towards that one. And did I actually miss Roshan? I probably missed Roshan. No, it was an Aegis and the Storm Spirit. There was the fight taken earlier. Sorry guys, I'm actually getting a little bit tired here, so losing track of things and having to remind myself. And a lot of that is muttering as well, so apologies for that. Chibix double damage going to keep on farming, and this time around Netolic have actually secured their side of the map. This is the Dire Vision. This is the Radiant Vision. They have no idea where Rising Stars are and what they are up to. So the vision is changing the course of this game. Rising Stars being able to see people means that they can gank people. If they can't see you, they can't kill you, and that means that the only option that they have available is to go and split push, which is not nearly as powerful as pick-off play. And Chibix still wants to make a little bit of use out of this last bit of double damage. Wanted to jack some Radiant Ancients, but there aren't actually any there. Rising Stars still being very efficient with their overall farm. Meanwhile, Netolic 5-manning, and this is in the darkness. Rising Stars don't know where they are. They're going to keep the split pushing going. Air making his way down, and now Zatuji is going to be the target. They do have an MKB to try and cancel a Rage TP. Ninja Boogie, are you going to get it? No, he doesn't get it. RNG at the end of the day. What can you do? So MKB Mini Bash proc does go through Magic Immunity and does cancel TP scrolls. So there was a chance of Lifestealer dying there, and that's a huge example of where RNG has a really big impact in Dota. So if his TP gets cancelled there's a very low chance that he survives, and there's a chance that his team actually has to bring everybody to that fight just to try and bail him out, or they have to leave him and he's forced to potentially buy back. They're gonna hex up. Chibix walking out just a little bit too far down the dark alley at night, and down he goes. Chibix just being being maybe a little bit too greedy here and there in terms of the farm. Could have waited for the creep wave to arrive right at his doorstep, but wanted the farm now so that he could keep on moving, keep the high impact game going on. But now the relocate's making its way in. It's going to split up the Netolic side. Elsmurf, where's the micro with the familiars? He's just dancing up and down, up and down. The familiars looking for the stuns. They're going to drop one down, but as the familiar drops, so will the Visage. And now that's 2 pickups for Rising Stars. Back to back. Roshan's still a ways away, but can they catch anybody else? The Hex is up for the Nature's Prophet. Will end up being it. They bring in the tier 2 on mid, and Netolic disaster strikes all of a sudden. The game, as everybody could tell, was just teetering on knife point, and now Rising Stars seem to have managed to tip the balance. So Netolic gonna try and defend. They've got the wall. Brave, not choosing to pop the BKB. Very brave from him. And looks like the wall will be enough of a deterrent, but Rising Stars can just wait this one out. But that's what Netolic want. They want to wait. They want to get their heroes back up. They want to have another full opportunity to defend. Rising Stars, however, realizing that that's the case, they're just going to go back off, get some more farm for themselves, and wait for Roshan, the next big target, while trying to keep vision going on for any kind of pickups. They know that there are gems on the Netolic side, but they are placing very sneaky wards. Well, this one's not so sneaky, but that's a fresh ward. But this one is this one's pretty sneaky. I mean, the 800 range around this ward to be able to deward it is here, but as you can see, its vision is all the way out. So there's a very low probability that Netolic ever end up dewarding this, but there's a reasonable chance that this ward actually catches somebody with a relocate. And as we've seen at this point, a single relocate gank, a single mass mobility gank from Rising Stars could just spell the game at this point. So we are going to have Nature's Prophet split pushing top. Roshan has already respawned. Oh no, he hasn't just yet. Still 30 seconds away. And Netolic just trying to get into position, but again, the global mobility is their big problem. XTT is a ways away from the racks up on top lane, however, so I think Netolic should be able to bring this one down. Looks like they might not have it timed at the second, but the clock starts pulsing, and down it drops. At Tier G already in position. He's got an Abyssal Blade picked up, working his way towards an AC as well with the Plate Mail. Netolic make their way into the pit. This is a big play. We've got the Hellbear making its way in. We've still got the Nature's Prophet pushing on top lane. The relocate now making its way in. Who can they catch? Air isn't about the BKB yet. He's going to keep on rolling. Templar Assassin does manage to grab the Aegis of Chibix. He'll be back in just a second. They brought down the Wisp already. Ninja Boogie keeps on fighting. But was that cheese? He's just going to... He's still got the time lapse. Stays alive. Elsmurf in some trouble. They bring down ones at 2G now on the run. The Beetle's still on top of him. Air. Shiva's rolling his way out. This is a full-on retreat from Rising Stars. And can Ninja Boogie catch anybody else? He's going to keep on running towards Air. The trap slow not connecting. Air looking for the roll up onto the high ground. He's going to get it. He doesn't actually have a TP scroll, so Ninja Boogie can just look to keep on chasing. And Chibix, he's surged forward. He's got the Ion Shell, and the meld is going to put an end to the Storm Spirit. Now it's XTT trying to recover up in the top lane. Needs to be careful not to be caught. Who's got the gem? XTT. Chibix closing ground. He doesn't feel safe to try and TP out just yet, but where are the gems? But the gem is... Where are the gems? The gem is up on Ninja Boogie. Okay, they've got 2. Might even be worth holding 2 at this point. Okay, here's the next big thing. Netolic, big win. They got the... I think they got the last hit on Roshan. And they got the Aegis. They got a couple of kills. They bursted down the Wisp before he could do anything in that fight. And, yeah. Storm is still dead on the sideline. But... So that's a pretty big win. They didn't manage to get much out of the Aegis, but at least won in the team fight. Templar Assassin can now look to pick up a BKB in just a second. So Chibix, those pickoffs on him will become a lot less frequent, but there's one more on the top side. Chibix. Oh, Chibix. Just gonna get caught out again. I mean, this is just... I can only assume that Chibix is... I don't want to make excuses, but I can only assume that Chibix is a shot caller for his team. I mean, he's the drafter, he's probably the captain, he's probably the shot caller. And it's kind of easy to lose track of exactly what you're doing when you're trying to make sure that the rest of your team knows exactly what your game plan is. And just a fraction of a second of absent-mindedness in this kind of game, and Rising Stars will strike and punish you for it. So... Roshan, not a factor for the next little bit. Mr. Kyo roaming out very aggressively with the Vendetta, looking for some pickoffs right now. Let's see what they can find. XTD is farming up at the Ancients. Prophet Ultimate bouncing around. Mr. Kyo won't be able to end up finding anything. The split push power of the Nature's Prophet is now increased with the Daedalus, but a more fight-oriented item, obviously. If he was really looking for split push, it would have been a Desolator. So 2G Still working his way towards that AC. Will definitely help against the minus armor from the Templar Assassin. As far as farm is concerned, we have stabilized a little bit around 10k gold in favor of the Radiant and about 5k experience. So Nettlich still playing from behind and still slowly losing ground. They are now out of outer towers. So the Nature's Prophet is sort of at full strength at this point. But pickoffs in either direction could still mean a lot.
With me.
Okay, MKB on range tiers does not cancel TP. My mechanics are apparently off. So my bad, guys. That, or it's being changed in Dota 2, so it's a discrepancy with Dota 1. I do remember, and that's a very fair point, and I do remember that as a mechanic from the Dota 1 days, but I feel like in Dota 2, it's no longer the case. Chibix walks out a little bit too far. Mr. Kier gonna try and make some space for him, and looks like Chibix is still alive, but they bring down the Nyx Assassin Air. BKB'd up, low on mana. Rave running in, looks for the wall, vacuum back, only gets the Wisp. They bring down the Lifestealer, however, focus fire as well. And now Super just going to try and relocate back to safety, but it's not really safety. It's just time for his team to escape and Nature's Prophet to TP down towards the bottom lane. I'm sorry if I've misled you guys. I will have to clarify that. So my bad there. And Super will be brought down as he makes his return. If I'm wrong about the mechanic, then I sincerely apologize. But Ninja Boogie looks towards XCT. It's a battle of MKB versus Crit. And now XCT. Ladies and gentlemen, it's different in Dota 2. That, or it was changed in Dota 1. But there's nothing there that Weaver can do to cancel the channel. And yeah, so I think it's different, Dota 1 versus Dota 2. It's probably on the list of discrepancies, but yeah. Elspeth's gonna get dragged back here, but he's got backup from Chibix, and Air this time around doesn't have the Wisp. He's still got plenty of mana, however, so I think he should be fine. And Air rolls away, but still needs to be careful here. Yeah, and that's gonna be the safety roll all the way back to base to make sure that he's okay. So Nettlich, couple of pickoffs for them, nice little team fight. And that's going to be 10k gold, the advantage. It's still 10k gold, and still pretty significant advantage, but Nettlich, the big deal is that they got rid of the Wisp and they got rid of the Prophet, the two heroes that were giving them the most trouble in terms of actually going for a push. And now they're going to make their way out and get this tier 2 down. Enchantress wanted the familiar, but not going to be able to get it. And now, oh, jump in from Mr. Keo. This is probably too aggressive. He's going to get a Bliss Bladed, and I think he's going to go down. Nettlich, are they just going to cut their... Oh, they're going to cut the losses here. Air has a Hex, looking towards Rave. Keo is still alive. And Rising Stars not feeling confident to take the fight 4v5. However, Elsmurf is actually all the way back at base. So... And needs to resummon his familiars to get that third bird. But, maybe he's just going to use the damage from these two and then resummon to get the triple damage. But, yeah. But Nettlich, things have stabilized at least a bit, but the game is still balanced on knife point. We've got 4 minutes to the next Roshan, and we've got 4 minutes to the next Roshan, and both teams just looking for positioning right now. Rising Stars, they do still have the split push coming back online, so they're going to force Nettlich back onto their side of the map. But we'll see what Nettlich can do to at least fight it. They're going to keep pushing on bottom lane. They're going to keep on trying to make sure that Rising Stars are only really pressuring one lane at a time. Templar Assassin not going for the BKB will end up picking up the Butterfly. We'll see if it costs him. And Rising Stars smoked up. They've got the Infest. And now they roll in, but Air pops the BKB. Immediately is going to be focused on by the Templar Assassin. They've got the damage. They burst on the Nyx Assassin. Now the Manta Style popping off. Air looking for the target, but he gets hexed up. He's in trouble. The wall dropped down. Down goes the Storm Spirit. They're looking for more. They keep on chasing Zatuji in some trouble. Soul Assumption flying over the top. He's going to get earned up. He's going to he's going to toggle the armlet back on, but the crit wipes him out. Nettlich now look towards Super. Can they bring him down? He's going to try and relocate out, but no such luck. The meld and the crit wipe him out, and XTT this time around will be able to escape. So XTT needs to be a little bit careful here. Meanwhile, top lane is pressuring in. Nature's Prophet going to do his best. Oh, no, actually, Nature's Prophet not going to do his best to be a nuisance. Ninja Boogie just going to go back and defend. The man should have traveled to be able to participate in this fight on mid ASAP, and I would love to see that from him. He's got 4.5k gold. And if he has Boots of Travel, then he can stay back and he can fight the Nature's Prophet non-stop and then TP to his team when they need him, but it's going to end up being a Butterfly, so I think Nedelik, I guess the difference is that they're not feeling confident in necessarily winning the team fights outright, but the last couple of fights have gone well for them. And Nedelik keep on trucking down towards the bottom lane. XTT loaded up with the Lifestealer Bomb. They pop off the Manta Style. He doesn't know which the real one is. Do they have a gem down here? They don't. They're going to hex up Elsmoke. They're going to try and focus him down. The Birds, however, flying over the top. His full micro attention can now be focused towards them. But looks like that's going to be it. Just the one pick off. Chibik still hasted and just zooming his way around the fight. Considering going back in, needs to be careful. Blink Dagger still cooling down for now. Centaur looks for the stomp. He gets hit. No, he doesn't. Actually still able to blink away. Chibik's living life on the edge right now. And golden experience. Experience now in favor of the Dire. 5k is the gold lead in favor of the Radiant. I mean, chump change at this 53-minute point into the game. And Ninja Boogie, another 1.8k gold in the bank for him. As far as GPM is concerned, everybody's sitting pretty healthy. The Storm Spirit is starting to fall off as we move towards the 60-minute sort of ultra late game portion where the roll damage isn't doing that much, and just he isn't able to stay still long enough to actually hit anybody, especially when there's a Butterfly up on both the Templar Assassin and the Weaver. And no real progress towards an MKB for the Lifestealer. He's still pretty much got the same items that we saw him with 20 minutes ago. There might be some AC components perhaps on the Courier, no. And now an MKB is desperately needed for him because he's being kited around and just can't do damage against the double Butterfly. I mean, I criticized the Butterfly pickup over a BKB for Chibix, but so far he hasn't really... I mean, he's been picked off a couple of times, but in the team fights, he's managed to avoid being the center of attention and just right-clicked everybody to death. Still very tense moments. Roshan about a minute away. MKB the pickup for XTT, so he's ready to dish out some damage against the Weaver and the Templar Assassin. 30 seconds the call for Roshan. Super has himself a Ghost Scepter. Air just waiting at the back of the camp, gonna roll back. Hexes at this point are, I mean, Hex is the ultimate in initiation, right? It's pretty much got no animation, no cast time, super long range. And if you hex the enemy team's person with a hex and you burst them down, then that's no hex for the enemy team, and that is a huge deal. So these team fights are balanced really on the edge. And now Roshan respawns. Both teams well aware of it, but Nedelik going to force this one out. Chibik straight into the pit, focusing it down. Meanwhile, Prophet considering TPing towards the top lane to try and force Nedelik away, but I think it's just going to be too slow. Yeah, Chibix and Ninja Boogie making fast work of this. They had vision. There's now Aegis and Cheese back up for Nedelik. Big advantage for them. XTT loaded up with the Lifestealer. They've given up on trying to take the head-on engagement. They're going to just load up the Nakes and try and force out split push racks right now. Everybody making their way top, but this is a 7v5 fight with the Cheese and the Aegis, and XTT right-clicking from the low ground will be able to bring down the tier 3 tower. But now Nedelik making their way in. Do they have enough gems? Please tell me they have enough gems. I really wish they were carrying 2 gems. They are carrying 2 gems, thank God. Well, for their sake. I mean, Rising Stars, they could still win this in one team fight. One team fight is pretty much the game at this point. Rising Stars have a little bit more leeway. They've got a couple of buybacks. They've got the Nature's Prophet buyback, and they've got the tier 3 down on top, so... And everything is sort of happening on the Nedelik side of the map right now, so long as the Prophet is alive, so... Oh, they're gonna jump Ninja Boogie, they're gonna hex him up, but he's still the fastest sheep alive. They drag him back, he's got the cheese, but will he be able to pop it? They jump in, they try and save him, but they won't be able to. He's got the buyback, but not using it just yet, still holding on. Rave in some trouble, gonna pop the BKB, they're just waiting this one out. Air doesn't have much mana left, he's gonna keep on chasing. This could just be it. Air considers the roll, doesn't feel like he has enough mana, doesn't have the hex, doesn't have the drag. Off cooldown just yet. Nedelik faking out the Weaver, he does actually have buyback ready. But Rising Stars make their way up onto the high ground. They're going to try to force this one out. Chibix gets silenced. Might be in some trouble. Going to Manta Style that one off. Zhao 2G now the focus target. And Chibix has 2 lives here to deal as much damage as he possibly can. Lifestealer goes down. Chibix onto the next. XCT in some trouble. He's going to be trying to TP his way out here. Some crits might be his undoing. And just hits flying back over the map as he will be able to escape. Rising Stars. The buyback from Ninja Boogie is going to scare them away. They get a little bit of damage down onto the racks, but... this game is getting extremely tense. And now Chibix might actually be able to catch XDD here. He's a long way from home. He's going to get hexed up. And in comes the right-click damage. Not even rolling too many crits. One last crit for style points. Meanwhile, the top racks will end up falling. They're trying to relocate in. Will they be able to survive to escape? They will. Really ballsy move from Rising Stars. And one Rax at this point of the game is just not significant. We've got Boots of Travel up on the Templar Assassin. She can defend until the end of time on top lane. And Ninja Boogie, he just bought back, so I feel like he should probably just upgrade to Travels relatively soon. There's no point in holding on to gold. Buy items, buy effectiveness, because you might not see that next buyback. So, checking out on overall item progression, which I haven't done for a little bit, guys. We've got, we've still got that cheese, we've still got the Aegis, so we've still got all of that advantage that Netolic accrued earlier, minus a buyback. They've got that Hex on air, which has been up for quite some time. And item progression for Rising Stars has kind of fallen off. If they jump somebody on mid, they're going to drag back Elspeth. The BKB popped off for air. Low duration, but XCT is the focus on the back lines of the fight. And he just pops the BKB. He's in full retreat. He's got so many damage items that it just doesn't matter. Ninja Boogie giving chase. They get the Vendetta hit. They bring down the Prophet. He's going to buy back. But is that their only gem? No, air still has one. Buyback from the Prophet. This is probably the last fight. He's going to do his best to push out the bottom lane. But I don't know if Netolic give a damn. They're going to maybe just go for end here. Up onto the high ground they go. Fortification will pop off. Zao2G lurking at the front, but needs to be careful. The TA has shown that she will just kill him off the vacuum. The wall. XTD in some trouble. Right click down below. Half HP. Going to pop off the spirits. Hex up on his Zao2G. Blink forward from Chibix. He keeps on right clicking into the lifestealer. A little bit tanky. There's the melt hit. He's lifestealing up. He jumps on top of Rave. He doesn't manage to pop off anything else. He's pretty much expended his whole arsenal on the Ninja Boogie. He's used the BKB. They focus on the Zao2G. They bring him down. Gem hits the deck. And Chibix just keeps on right-clicking. They bring down XTT. That's 100 seconds. No profit. Chibix still has the Aegis. Keeps on fighting. Meanwhile, Ninja Boogie right-clicking away as well. Zao2G just not able to make it into the fight. Air going to jump in over the top. Gets a drag back on the Ninja Boogie, but can they bring him down? Chibix is still alive. He hasn't used the Aegis. He just keeps on right-clicking. This man does not know how to stop. Super now trying to retreat. And they bring back air one more time, but he gets hexed up. He gets brought down. 95 seconds. No buyback left. This is looking like it might be game. Netolic keep on deathballing. And they're just going to keep looking for the pickoffs out. 2G going to try and bring down Kyo. Will he be able to? Gets the infest damage. Heads back towards the fountain. Netolic, I don't know why they're camping this one so hard. Just go for end. Ninja Boogie going to try and clear out the creep wave to get the creeps onto the tower. Buyback from the Nyx Assassin. Going to head up top to clear things out. Rising Stars, it's only the Lifestealer and the Wisp left. Another relocate coming up soon, but Chibix jumps over the top, brings down the Wisp. Zao2G, the next target, is going to get hexed up. He's going to be brought down, and that's going to be a double kill for Chibix. No buyback, no respawn, no hope. Rising Stars, this is going to be tied up 1-1, and Netolic are going to take it to a third and final game. Rising Stars, as the Ancient falls, they're going to call GG. What a game. Again, guys, this is the AMD Dota 2 Premier League playoffs. It's Rising Stars versus Netolic Singapore. This was game 2 of best of 3, and again, we're tied up 1-1. We'll be back for game 3 coming up soon. I've been Baseskip. I've been here in association with Dota Talk. If you guys want to leave me any feedback as far as my casting was concerned, then drop me an email, baskipdota@gmail.com. If you guys want to support me at all, then my Twitter, my Twitch, my Facebook, and my YouTube are all under the name of Baseskip. Remember to support Dota Talk, the tournament organizers. I wouldn't be here without them. You can give them a follow here on the stream, check them out on Facebook, and check out the website for all the details of this competition as to where we are headed over the course of the next couple of days. I think the next game will be played now. I'm not sure. It is getting a little bit late, so we might end up moving things around. I'll have to check with the admins, but for now, I've been Baseskip. It's been a pleasure casting for you guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll be back soon. And don't go too far.